We are
So
being live streamed.
we're on live now. It's
Yes, sir.
11:04 a.m. Sorry about the delay for our technical difficulties. It's January 20th. This is the regular Board of Commissioners meeting for Fire District 21. And I will start with roll call. I'm Bruce Ansell.
Rich Bossman.
John Crawford.
Kimberly McMurray.
Jason Vanderveen.
Scott Brown.
Chief Ward's here. All right, as far as public comment goes, the public can hear and see us live on YouTube, except for executive session, and will not be allowed to speak or provide public comment. With that, also we'll note that Commissioner Fisher is still excused for medical reasons. We'll open the volunteer pension board meeting. I need a motion to approve the December 16th minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. And then Chief, we have an invoice voucher. Is this an annual thing?
Yes, sir, for the pension and disability for 2022.
So this covers the payment for the active volunteers that we have.
Correct.
Is there a motion to approve the invoice voucher of $1,620 for the volunteer pension?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Any other issues for the pension board, Chief?
No, sir.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and adjourn the pension board meeting and open the regular board of meeting and commissioners meeting with our oath of office so that Commissioner Crawford can vote during this meeting. It's my understanding that Commissioner McMurray, you have already performed that oath of office with Jenny in
Yes.
late November.
Correct.
All right. So, Mr. Crawford, congratulations on winning a hard-fought election. And if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me, we'll give you the oath of office. And then when you come in, Jenny can notarize that. I, John Crawford,
John Crawford.
do solemnly swear. Uh-oh.
Did I freeze up or did you freeze up?
You froze up, sorry.
Okay. I, John Crawford,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially perform
and impartially perform
and discharge the duties of the office
and discharge the
duties of the office.
duties of the office. Froze up again, sorry.
That's all right. Fire Protection District 21 Commissioner, Position 1.
Of the Fire District 21 Commissioner, Position 1,
In and for the County of Whatcom,
in and for the County of Whatcom,
State of Washington,
State of Washington,
according to law and to the best of my ability.
according to law and to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Welcome back. Nice
Thank-
to have you on board.
Thank you.
All right, you are now officially able to vote at this meeting, and Jenny will do the final details when you come in to sign documents. Here we are waiting. I had invited Mike Kent to our meeting. Jason's muted.
I sent him another invite asking him if he's able to join us. I'll
Okay, well,
text him as
I was
well.
gonna bump him up. When he arrives, we'll rearrange the agenda to not waste any of his precious time. But with that said, we will move on to the consent agenda, which includes December 13 joint meeting minutes, December 16 public hearing, staff reports, financial reports. January was a big expenditure month. If you saw that almost $1 million number that we spent, and Chief, maybe you could let us know as a group why that number was so big this month.
Certainly. January, everything comes up for renewal. So insurance, almost $90,000 expenditure for our vehicle and facility insurance. We had $50,000 for bunker gear that was ordered last year and did not arrive until December, and then we were invoiced. So that's an additional, we order 10 sets per year. So that everybody's got two sets of gear. So there's an additional $50,000. We've got 2 months worth of Oasis at $6,000 a piece because they billed late in December. And then all of the Washington State Fire Commissioners, Washington State Fire Chiefs, everybody renews all of their memberships in January. And because they have not been able to have meetings or get-togethers where they make some money, they have all changed their due structure to be quite a bit more expensive than we have in the past. So that is what has led us to this one-off of the January vouchers.
All right, so the total expenditures for January were $937,835.96. Big number. I don't think we could manage that for 12 months in a row, and obviously won't have to. But the direct deposit payroll was $369,609.60. That includes vacation and sick time payouts for the end of the year. Payroll taxes, $83,333.89. Benefits voucher, $207,275.17. Monthly expenditure voucher, $277,059.98. Capital projects apparatus, $557.32. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any questions, comments, discussion? Chief, I noticed in one of the reports, responses up every month except January of last year, like significantly up every month. Is that, do you know why that? Did we have a down year the year before? Is this more normal? What's driving this?
2020 was down, especially the first quarter and a half, 2 quarters was down when the stay-at-home order was issued, and people were seemingly significantly afraid of going to the hospital or reaching out for medical care. Since then, last year, obviously in July, we started dealing with House Bill 1310, which has caused an increase in calls. What we're seeing on the west side of the county, and for us in particular, is about a 20% call volume increase based on mental health and what we call PDUNCs, or PD unknown calls, welfare checks and things like that the crews are going on, as well as just an increase in calls, whether it's people staying home, fatigue, just general fatigue in society, and they're just asking the crews to help with more simple problems. I think we've just become a catch-all.
All right, appreciate that. Any other questions, comments? All in favor of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Consent agenda is approved. Commissioner meeting reports. John,
Do you want the all county or do you want to talk about it?
I can hum a few bars about that. It was,
Feel free.
so the Whatcom County Fire Commissioner Association meeting was on, I want to say the 12th. I attended, kind of interesting meeting. Not a lot of people talk. Everybody's been busy with the floods and the weather and everything, but one of the reasons I attended was to sort of push this PLS funding issue to the county via a letter of support from the fire commissioners. And so there was some discussion and a motion was passed to send a letter to the county EMS players and potentially the Whatcom County Council, just showing our unanimous support by the fire commissioners for freeing up some of these surplus funds that are sitting in the EMS levy pool. So we are in the process of drafting a letter, and it actually got the support of the fire chiefs as well. And so it looks like it's going to be a joint letter from the Whatcom County Fire Chiefs and Whatcom County Fire Commissioners requesting that the county free up $5 million of the projected $9 million in funds that aren't encumbered by a $12 million reserve fund. So basically $21 million are sitting there. 12 of it is in case the levy doesn't pass. And there's 9 sitting there, of which the chiefs and commissioners are asking for $5 million to be split with a formula that seemed to work well for all the jurisdictions that could be used to help support the increased workload that has been generated on the BLS side. And that's not just because of 1310, that's just some of it has to do with levee lid lift failure, some of it has to do with weather, some of it has to do with increased transport times. There's a lot of things that are driving increased costs for all departments. The outlying ones, harder to get volunteers. Like I say, transporting is taking longer and longer. Now with the hospitals backing up, there's longer wait times. It's just, it's costing districts a lot of money. So we're respectfully requesting that they send some of that to the departments countywide. So I've seen the second to last final draft. It needs to go out probably by the end of this week or the first part of next week. There is a meeting of the finance group. I believe February 9th is the next milestone. So we kind of wanted to get in front of them showing our support. So it would be a huge benefit to North Whatcom as well. The second one I had was the chief and I met with one of our citizens that had expressed a willingness to help us with our messaging after our levee lid lift failures. We had about a 2.5 hour meeting with Margot, and she's got experience in sort of public messaging, worked in Canada, worked nationally. So she's sort of working on some ideas for us to see if we can't have a better outreach in any future messaging that we come up with. What else am I missing, Chief? Let's see.
I think that's
Yeah, I met again with a couple of the chiefs and commissioners on that letter. Yeah, anyone else? Was that accurate, John?
Yeah, I think it was pretty spot on.
And if anyone's interested in being the president of the Whatcom County Fire Commissioners, please raise your hand now. Some names came up. I respectfully declined the opportunity to participate in that position based on what I feel is going to be a pretty busy year working with District 4 on those issues. So. And I didn't see John raise his hand either. So
No, you did not.
I mean, if you know, Rich, if you or Kimberly, I mean, if you know of anybody, if you know of anyone in the commissioner ranks who you think would be a good fit or representative to that position, we've been asked to sort of canvass our members and others. So if in your communications with people in the community, if you know anyone who might fill that position, Jim Peoples has sort of reached his capacity both with family and medical issues and can no longer continue in that vein. So they need to have a replacement step up for that.
Mr. Hansel, if I could, just real quick, that was the person we met with was Margot Sabell, just so
Thank
that
you.
just so that her last name was on the record.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I guess, yeah, we intend to have another follow-up meeting with her. I guess we can reach out and see. She was going to put some stuff together and then we can go from there. Plus, I think we need to sort of tie that in with our messaging with District 4 too, I think. But we'll figure that one out. All right. Anything else under commissioner meetings? Local 106, Scott Brown.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. First and foremost, just want to thank all the personnel. We'll be getting hit pretty hard with COVID, myself included. So they're doing a great job picking up the slack with a bunch of us that are out. We did just have some recent promotional assessment. So some personnel got promoted. So special shout out to Chris Hollander for all his hard work and all the other ones. We did hire a training captain, so look forward to meeting with him and working with him. And at this time, that's kind of all I have. So just again, thanks to all the crews for working through this tough time.
And I understand perhaps you were part of that promotional process as well.
Yes, I was. I got promoted as well. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Legal issues. Richard Davis is not here. I did have a discussion with him about something we'll talk about in executive session, but I don't think there's anything hot off the press as far as legal mandates right now. Unfinished business. One of that, well, under facilities, we'll probably let Chief Ward maybe update us on any items. And then that's kind of where we need to talk about the Weiser Lake Station. So Chief Ward.
I just wanted to give you a heads up. Barron Telecommunications closed shop on the 31st of December. And so currently we are investigating options for the system that was built back in 2007 for our station phones, and looking at what other options we can have that gives us stability rather than some hardwired system that we currently have been band-aiding for many years. The cold snap that we had caused some damage at a couple of the stations. Station 63's dry system, which is in the tower, that is completely destroyed. I'm working with the county right now to get a variance on that, on the tower itself, so we don't have to have it fixed. That's the only part of the Station 63 that has a dry system in it. We don't know when it was put in or why it was put in, because it's not a burn tower, and it doesn't hold any flammable materials in it. So, and it's a brick structure. So, but it had a system in it. Station 61 had a flood or multiple sprinkler heads break. It was in the gear storage area. That's all been fixed, but we are going to have to file an insurance claim on that due to sheetrock damage, and it's going to require re-insulation and some minor construction repairs. So we'll be working on getting that done. That's kind of really about it. The biggest, like I said, the biggest thing that we're really trying to hit right now is the phone system. We want to make sure that we don't end up having the system go down and we don't have phones. We're kind of running with a semi-fixed system right now that doesn't allow us to even have voicemail. So we're kind of pressing along, moving forward with Oasis Tech and what they're able to offer for their IT side of things, as well as working with another company that Chief found out through Costco. That's probably the direction we'll end up going, but we're still working on that. So anything else?
So roof repairs at 61 or
63 is complete.
Sorry,
That's
63,
all.
sorry.
That's all. Yeah, that's all been done. We did have one moderate leak that was missed on the quote, and that was the one that is in the old training room along the west side, and they have since come out and fixed that. But again, it's going to be one of those constant maintenance roofs. And they'll be watching for more leaks and some of the other areas that were not in damage yet, but are going to probably start leaking, soon.
And where are we on the tower?
The tower right now is in, Chief and I haven't had a formal meeting to discuss the direction. It's probably going to be looking at more of a repair. You're in the hundreds of thousands, maybe a little over $100,000 to fix it versus $3 to tear it down. So, it's crazy. We've had all the inspections on it. There's no hazmat in it, hazardous materials in it. That's all good. I've had two companies come out, Tiger Construction and a company out of Seattle that specializes in doing brick repair. They do a lot of the buildings down in the Seattle area that are, hundreds of years old and they're able to repair them. And this guy came out and he says, "Oh, this is easy work for us." So, other than the color of the brick will be a little bit different, it'll be back to normal. So,
All right, thank you.
bet.
Chief, do you want to address the Weiser Lake station?
Yes. So shortly in the right before the end of the year last year, I met with Mike Kent, who's a realtor in Whatcom County. I believe Windermere is the office he works for. We met at Station 70 after the board directed us to. Actually, Mike Kent just popped in. Here he is.
All right, perfect timing.
Wonder if he was lurking on.
Yeah,
YouTube.
he was probably stalking us on YouTube. Mr. Kent, welcome to our meeting. Maybe.
Give him a minute to ask him to unmute here. Anyway, Mr. Kent and I met late last year, and I just had him do a quick assessment of the building for, what did he think it could be used for. So looks like he's ready to go there, Mr. Kent.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yep. You sound great.
Very good. Excellent. So you want me to go ahead and outline my synopsis?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. To give you a little background, I had an opportunity to market the fire hall over in Custer. So that gave me a little bit of familiarity as to who our best prospect would be for a purchaser. Somewhat similar in the Linden Fire Hall. You have a zoning that could be residential, but the size of the properties can be a bit of a challenge. And the cost for someone to convert it to residential is probably going to be higher than they would expect to pay. I think the ideal purchaser, as was a purchaser in Custer, will be someone that wants a private storage facility. In the case of Custer, it was a car collector, and I expect it'll be the same thing. Part of what leads me to believe that will be our buyers, because the success of storage units throughout Whatcom County, be it in Linden, Ferndale, Blaine, storage units have gone up in price dramatically because there's simply not enough for the demand. If you go to buy one now, you're going to be on a waiting list, probably at the Flex Space on Portaway in Ferndale, and will be waiting upwards of a year to get a unit. They are all sold. And the prices that they're selling at are around, it was $240,000 when I sent the follow-up from our meeting, Jason. It's actually gone up since then about another $20,000 to $30,000 for a 1,500 square foot storage condo with a like an 18-foot door, 30 by 50. The fire hall is actually much larger than that. There's pluses and minuses. The plus is the space, obviously. The location is probably more geared towards someone that lives in the fairly close vicinity. People like to get to their toys if they're using it for cars and that, and it's not in a secure park. But having said that, the square footage, the number of vehicles that can be put there, the height, etc., I believe someone will pay certainly a premium to have that space. Could you do a commercial enterprise, say a landscape firm or a repair shop, whatnot? The challenge is going to be, I believe, having to get a conditional use permit from the neighbors in close proximity. And their concerns typically are going to be traffic, noise, etc. Not that it can't be done, but it'll probably be a little more difficult purchase opportunity. And the other part of it is financing. They could probably get a commercial loan without any problem. On the individual side, they're going to probably have to do cash or get a non-conforming loan. And all that means is they're going to have to typically put more money down at a higher interest rate. Business-wise, it could be a fantastic shop for someone to do repair work and the like, but they'll simply have to go through the necessary hoops to do so. From a marketing standpoint, it will be in CEBA, which is Commercial Broker Association site, which I'm a member, so we'll get out to the commercial world. Certainly the multiple listing service, they will see it as well. And then we have a whole list of different things we do individually above and beyond, be it networking and flyers and introduction. And with Windermere in particular, we've got about 120 agents right now. And chances are fairly high that it'll be someone within our rank, just based on the numbers. Price-wise, there aren't too many comps, comparables to draw from. But the few that I find, I think we're going to be, optimistically, I think we're going to be around $750 on this building. And certainly I would think we're going to be high sixes, but I would suggest that we start at about $750,000. To replicate it, you're going to be spending close to that for sure. If you started with a raw piece of ground, services, structure, etc., it doesn't take long at all anymore with the cost of materials and construction, if you can find people to build it. Questions?
John, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Hey, Mike, with 750, do you think this could get into like a bidding war?
I hope so. It's really hard to predict in this marketplace. We end up at bidding wars when we don't expect. But the short answer is, if there's two people that want it and are qualified, that's what happens. So I mean, they're not going to go to a number that makes no sense at all. But typically, if a buyer is going to buy this for his own personal use, that means he can't find anything like it. And they will probably compete if they're affluent enough to be able to get into a bidding competition with someone else. It could happen. You know, the other thing is you can put it out there at 500 and have a bidding war go up and up and up, but you're better to, I think, get close to what replacement is or market and then see what happens. So that's a long answer, but I can't promise it, but it's certainly possible. It takes two buyers that want that property.
What is the square footage there?
We are 50 some hundred square feet. Let me just grab my file here. Let's see. Yeah, Jason gave me a nice outline of it. Here we go. 5,100 square feet. That includes the bays as well as the space up front, the office, restrooms, etc.
Okay.
And the parking there is ideal as well, as you might expect.
Yeah, it is.
A person purchasing it, Mike, for a storage unit, from what I'm hearing, would not have to do any zoning issues or apply for anything?
I believe there would be no issue unless they're running a commercial enterprise. I believe if it's just for someone for their own personal use, I don't believe that's the case. Jensen bought the one in Custer, and I don't think he had to do any special permitting. That was right in the town or city, whatever, of Custer. But the buyer would want to verify that, but I can't imagine there being any need. When you get commercially, then you're probably going to have to go conditional use.
So as soon as you buy it and maybe rent out one or two stalls, that throws you into the commercial, would that be correct?
Not necessarily. I mean, people rent garages in their house.
All right.
To people. Yeah, it may be one of those scenarios where you ask the county and get a different answer depending what day you're going in there. I mean, it's kind of a gray area, but the buyer would want to verify that. What typically would happen is someone would buy it, and then their brother Joe says, "Hey, can I put a car in there?" Yeah, here's a couple, and it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anyone else? Mike, what do you see as a time frame if we were, as a board, decided to move forward and surplus the station, is there a better time to put this on the market?
Well, great question. There's no particular season for fire halls. However, there are no storage units available right now.
Okay.
And I'm working with a couple of clients. They're not looking for something quite this scale. They're trying to find a 1,500 square foot unit. I can't find it. So supply and demand, the demand's there, there's no supply. Interest rates, if they do happen to get a loan, they are probably going to go up between now and the end of the year, maybe 3/4 of a point. So that's not a big pressure. I think now is as good a time as any, because I can't imagine the market getting any tighter for storage units or any other real estate for that matter. To give you a quick idea how desperate things are, we have about a 1.5 week supply of residential inventory, period, throughout Whatcom County, which means if we didn't bring another house on in a week and a half at current sales rate, there wouldn't be a single house left. There's 156 houses for sale in all of Whatcom County, which is normally we would have 700-800 homes for sale. So the timing's good. Real estate is kind of unhinged right now, and that's part of the reason I think that high number is attainable. So, and if I were to hire someone tomorrow to build something like that, if I had a good piece of land, I'd probably be waiting at least a year or two before they get complete, because the contractors are are busy and spoiled, and it's hard to get things done. And supply and the cost of goods is off the charts.
All right. Any other questions? Mike, we appreciate that you took the time to meet with the chief and go out there and give us your professional advice about this. It's certainly something that's sort of been on our minds for a while. We have a lot of facilities that either aren't being used, or now that our levee lid lifts have failed, we're going to have to look for more ways to cut costs and save money and generate some income. So we need to make some tough decisions here, but the information you've provided is very helpful.
Yeah, thank you. And I will let you know too, if you folks were to lease the building, that would be, I think, quite successful as well. I don't know whether that fits into your program. But that's also something that you might want to consider for two reasons. I'm just being very, very honest with you. It's going to keep going up in value, and it would probably lease at a rate of probably $2,500 to $2,750, I would think, a month. And that'd be certainly viable. But that may be complicated for the fire district to be leasing. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I think legally that's us being a landlord is
Okay, and I wasn't sure.
paperwork wise, it's just not worth the administrative time.
I understand.
Yeah, I think there's obviously we run into some huge liabilities there. And, you know, part of our reason for sort of trimming down is the maintenance and upkeep and all the other crap that goes along with owning so many buildings. So, but that's certainly something to consider.
Very good.
All right. Any other questions for Mike? We'll let him get back to his normal job.
But I go back and help the neighbor again. Her husband passed away.
Oh, no.
And due to COVID, and she's trying to learn how to do everything, and she's on her own, and it's the kind of folks you have as clients all the time. It's just tough. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, appreciate you joining us today, and we'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Kent.
Thank you.
Still on there. All right. So what do you guys want to do with this thing? Rich, what's your thoughts?
What are our costs right now to maintain this building, roughly?
I can't say that I have it's probably one of the cheaper ones to maintain, because it's high and dry. You know, unfortunately the rest of ours seem to sit low and get wet, but it's not exorbitantly expensive to maintain. It's just a huge asset, and it's like money wise, it could replace apparatus that we currently don't have funds for. And that's the thing, is we could turn this building and put 2 tenders on the road, or, you know, buy another engine, which is desperately needed. We don't use the building for anything other than storage. We have not had volunteers out of that station in years. You might be the gentleman in the center of my screen might be the last active volunteer from Station 70, Scott Brown, who was hired in 2007. So it's, you know, we've had a couple volunteers since then, but we have not had active volunteers out of the station for 7 to 10 years. It's just not doing anything, and it really doesn't. It's not in what I would say an optimal location for a station that we would expand and say put a crew in. You know, if we were, say, to move 69 north, Station 69 and Laurel North, that's not where I would want to put them. That puts them on essentially a windy residential road, or it dumps out onto Hannigan with really a blind corner. We wouldn't mark that as a location to put a station. Frankly, it's kind of superfluous. It doesn't fit the model of the district anymore or the direction we're going.
Well, the timing seems right to move it then.
Yeah, I don't think the market's going to be any better than Mr. Kent explained to us. In our master plan, this station was found to be in fair to good condition. It does not have facilities for 24-hour staffing, including sleeping quarters, laundry, or bunker gear extraction. Does not have an exhaust system for apparatus. Currently, this facility provides limited service to the district. That's what the report from ESCI gave us on it. I drove out there the other day. It's certainly not an easy station to get to. It's on a narrow, windy 2-lane road. It's really not close to anything except for residential properties. And when I did an evaluation of the levee lid lift, if you look at the voting population around that station, you see all that red? That community voted 76% no on the August levee lid lift and 71% in the November, for a combined 73% no vote for a levee lid lift. And I'm not saying that as like, oh, we should go punish these people and sell their fire station, but really it's not being used. And I think we could actually better service that rural area if we took the money that we have invested in that station and actually bought some tenders that would actually provide water supply if something bad did happen in that area. At this point, I don't think we get any bang for our buck out of that station. But I'm kind of the newer kid on the block. I've only been here 6 years. I don't know all the history and why it was built or who built it or what the plan was. But I think if we look at our master plan, it really doesn't fit where we're going. And I think part of our responsibility as a board is to look into the future and say, is there going to be a super mall in that neighborhood in the near future? Probably not. Can we service it from either side or around? And it looks like we can. So that's my position. John Crawford, you've been around longer than me.
This question's more for Jason. What's the state gonna say when we decide to sell it insurance wise? Is that on the docket as showing for the insurance board? Is that shown as an active station?
So I did look at that. So road miles from station 69 and then road miles from station 75, which we have an auto aid agreement with, that those two 75 and 69 overlap in that area, where we might see some difficulty, or I would say, where we're going to run out of that 5 mile limit is further west on the Van Dyke Road. But as I've said it on multiple meetings, I'm going to be honest with the WSRB and tell them we don't have anything out of there. We're going to get a big fat zero for that station anyway. And honestly, those people in the Van Dyke area, that they chose to live in a rural area, and that's the service that we can provide based on the funds that we take in from taxes. So I don't know. Yeah, it's going to change. I believe it is going to change the rating in that area. It was going to happen either. It's going to happen either way. with factual reporting to WSRB come this July. But like I said, we do have an auto aid agreement with Linden. So that area overlaps the Venn diagram or whatever, the circles overlap in that area. We're still a majority of those people that they're not going to see any change. And if I go back to using that, that's one-time money. So it's not going to fix anything. But if we can increase, reduce the age of our 30 some odd year old, our average age of tenders is 30 some odd years old. If we can show that we've got a couple ordered that are going to, add to the fleet, allow us to get rid of some of these old ones. Could that help our WSRB rating? Absolutely.
I'm on board with what Rich and Bruce said. I think it's time to go ahead and move forward on this as well.
Especially if
Kimberly?
you look at it as we're taking a facility we're not using and we're getting 2 new tenders. It's a good trade.
Kimberly?
I agree with everything you all have said, because we're just putting out a lot of money for maintenance and insurance and taxes, and for really nothing in return other than an asset. And so if we can turn that around and help offset some of our costs and our budgets, it's a win-win. And it's most definitely an optimal time to sell, given the market and storage. We're in the same boat in our personal life, so we're very keenly aware of the limited amount of storage out there and the high demand to have that kind of a facility.
Okay. So we've done this before. Jenny was kind enough to provide me with information on, there are no specific statutory requirements for the sale of property, equipment, or supplies. Prior to disposing of such property, the board should declare by resolution the item surplus to the needs of the district. The district should then use commercially reasonable methods to sell the property. And there's, I have a copy of a resolution from 2013 that declared the Linden station as surplus. So we could, by resolution, probably check with Richard Davis and then have a resolution prepared for our next meeting to declare this station surplus, if that's the direction the board wants to move. Does that sound reasonable?
I'd be in favor of that.
Okay, so I think we should then have a motion from the board that wishes to declare the Weiser Lake Station surplus, and that we contact our legal counsel and make sure that we're meeting all the requirements. I'm assuming there's going to need to be a public hearing, is what they did in the past for these for the other station. But if we want to make a motion to move forward with that process, I'd go ahead and accept that motion.
Second.
All right. So, Chief, did that make sense? That we'll make sure that it's the board. Well, let's go ahead and any discussion. We've got a motion to surplus with Weiser Lake Station, and it's been seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, so my only discussion would be that we contact our legal counsel, that we get a resolution created, and that we determine if and when we would have to have a public hearing on this, and then get it out on the market. So all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so it's unanimous. Thank you for your time and consideration. I hate to get rid of assets like this, but I think if we really look at our master plan and where we're headed, this just does not fit into the picture. So, Chief, do you have any questions?
Public hearing at the start of next month's meeting sound okay to you? Or do you want to do it faster than that? I think that'd be my recommendation.
Definitely. Yeah, if we can get everything ready to roll for the next meeting, that would be good. And then I think getting it on the market in the end of February, if we can do that, would be a good thing.
Okay, let me check with Jenny and make sure that that's a time frame that we can work in, and we'll get that done.
All right, thank you. New business. Resolution 2022-01, surplus equipment donation. This is bunker gear, yes?
Yes.
And there's a bunch of serial numbers and stuff here, and I think the intent was to try to either donate it to Firefighters Without Borders or some organization that could put this stuff to use.
Correct.
Resolution 2022-01 is declaring the following turnout gear surplus, which is listed by serial number, the staff is directed to make contact with an organization as described above and arrange donation of the bunker gear as noted in Exhibit A in accordance with all applicable statutes. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? John, do you have a resource, or you'll be in touch with the chief?
Yeah, I can get that taken care of.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous. Thank you, chief.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
And yeah, Chief Ward is working with Commissioner Crawford to get this done. So,
All right. Board elections and representation at outside meetings. So in January, per our little bylaws, we say that we elect chair and vice chair. And so I will open the floor for nominations for the position of chair of this board.
I nominate Bruce Ansel.
I second.
I just can't step backwards fast enough, can I?
Yeah.
You do a great job.
I appreciate that. It's been challenging, but quite rewarding. So is there any other nominations for the chair position? All right, hearing and seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, thank you. And then vice chair. I know Rich might have a suggestion here, but
I nominate John Crawford.
Second.
are there any other nominations for vice chair? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Rich, thank you for your time as both chair and vice chair. I know that your life's focus is changed somewhat now, and we certainly appreciate all the time and effort that you have given the district, and I'm not letting you go yet. I think you still owe us another year, but I do value your history and your knowledge and your level-headed thinking abilities that you've provided to me. And I still have your number, and I'm going to keep calling you. So you're never going to get totally out, but thank you for all the time and effort you've put in so far.
Very welcome.
And
Thank you, Commissioner Bosman.
thank you.
And John, now you have to answer the text I sent you the other day.
I have to answer that.
Yeah, I think I sent you a message as addressed to the potential vice chair. Anyway, all right, congratulations. All right, so now representation outside meetings. John, you've been going to the Whatcom County Fire Commissioners and doing a great job there. Are you sort of representing the north end of the district?
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. Once we get a new president in there, I'm gonna concrete that in. So I have been. I was asked, but then we found out that we had to be voted in to do that. So basically, once a new president in there, I'll often go from there.
Okay, do you want to continue attending those meetings?
Sure. Yeah, it's good times, as you know.
Yeah. All right. Any other representation? We did have, I was attending the Blaine City Council meetings for a time earlier on when I started here. Of course, that's when we could do things in person, and now it's all via Zoom. And do you think it's useful to have representation there, Chief? Or I know that
Fire marshal goes.
Right.
It could be useful to have one, whether myself or one of you go to that meeting, just to be a presence and let them know that we're interested in what's going on in the city of Blaine.
What I have done in the past was just kind of look at their agenda ahead of time and see if there was anything that was of pertinence to us, because they can sometimes go on longer than me on topics about, you know, sewers and and annexations and stuff like that. So I don't know. Kimberly, is that something you might be interested in keeping an eye on?
When do they meet?
It's like the Mondays, the
Mondays.
first, second and fourth Monday or something
Yeah,
like that.
second and fourth Monday, correct.
And they have a website that, you know, they'll post a day or two ahead of what their agenda is going to be. And then maybe if you could coordinate with Lieutenant Nielsen on anything that he might think would be needed. I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think it's something you need to go to every meeting on, but perhaps if we can get a foothold in there a little bit. I mean, they're a big voting block. If we ever need to pass something, it would be nice to have a relationship with them and commitment from them on our issues as well.
I'm willing to give it a try.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can, Commissioner McMurray, feel free to chat with me about that. Maybe when you come in to sign today, if
I was just gonna say that.
we can talk about it and get you set up, and I'll give you some background.
Yeah, and who to connect with.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, like I said, I maybe went to like 5 or 6 meetings in a year when Henry was still here. And I would say out of those 5 or 6, I probably really didn't even need to be at those, but it was just sort of in person. It was nice to put a face on the fire district. So anything else we should be on? John, have you got anything else we should be keeping an eye on?
What about the Birch Bay Chamber? Are we still on that?
I mean, since I live in that community, I kind of stay in touch with Kathy and Dora Lee on a regular basis. Unfortunately, their meetings are the same time as our meetings. They're on Thursday at 11 or 12 now, so we line up at the exact same time. But I get all of their notifications, and I walk by Dora Lee's house every other day anyway. I think that's, and actually I know Danielle down at the visitor center, and Sasha now, who is their administrator. I know all those people, so I try to stay in touch with what's going on there. Informally, informally.
I can't think of any others than that myself.
Okay, Rich, you got any places we need to have a presence?
No, unless something comes up at Linden City Council that we need to be present at, I can step in for that.
Okay. All right. Future funding discussions. Chief, is there anything that we need to jump on right now? I think we're planning on meeting with Karen Reed in early February.
Starting in February, yeah. She takes January off, so I was gonna start hitting her with emails next week and see if we can get some stuff on the books for early February. And I don't know if maybe for the full board, if we want it to be a full board meeting, or do you want to create have a point person where Karen and someone, one commissioner from District 21, one commissioner from District 4 could meet and have these discussions and then report back to the entire board, just to make it less cumbersome and move a little faster. We don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. We got a lot of quick things we got to deal with. And sort of in the back of my mind, I'm thinking more like a District 4 commissioner of what the heck are we going to do? But that's not necessarily our problem. But I think we need to convince them that it is their problem. And this year is going to scream by. And they're going to have to decide how to fund the fire department. On our end, we have probably a couple of years before we're in dire straits. Got the library issue coming up in February, and we got the EMS levy coming up in November. Is that
August?
August is the EMS levy.
Pretty sure they're going to be on the August ballot.
All right. So, I mean, I don't think we should even consider trying to get out on a levy for us on top of either one of those.
No.
So that puts us into next year planning phase for funding.
Which I still think is a tight timeline based on our recent experience. We obviously have to retool how we do things. And, is it going to be a levy? Is it going to be a bond? Is it going to be bake sale? What does our future funding request from the public look like? And really getting it nailed down. And the meeting that we had with Sewell, I can't remember her last name. Sorry.
Margot Seville.
Margot. Yep. Margot Seville was very interesting. In now that we've taken a couple, we've had 2 levy attempts. Now we have data, which we didn't have before. So, and she is what she did with outreach and social media and PR was purely on the data side. So she is definitely a blessing and someone that a type of person we didn't have before who can look at what we did, look at the message, look at how it resonated. She had some interesting things to say right off the top, but we don't have a ton of time for District 21 alone, and certainly not for the combined 4 and 21 together. So we kind of got to take 2 angles on this, both a group chat and then a singular district look at future financing.
All right. So I guess step 1 for us would be to surplus a fire station and maybe generate some funds to purchase some equipment, and then monitor how these other levy issues are going, and start thinking of a plan whether it's bonding or levy lid lifts or both. Yeah, I don't know if the public responds better to, hey, all of our fire trucks just broke down and our stations don't, and they're not safe to be in anymore. We need money. If that resonates more than, we need to lift the lid so that we can provide service. I'm not sure. It's a tough community.
Yeah. And so I think the first thing is would the board be okay with having a point person, appointing a messenger to work with Karen Reed and myself and whoever District 4 decides to start getting some of this stuff done. I think we could just, as a smaller group, we can move faster. And then report back.
That should probably be the board president, correct?
We don't have a president.
Chair, excuse me. Chair.
I enjoy working with Karen. I'd be happy to do it. I think I've pretty much understand our background up to this point and have enough spare time to be able to commit to that.
Is District 4 up to a full board yet, or are they still waiting on a third?
We are putting out the advertisement today. So
they'll have 30 days.
They'll have, it's a 30-day advertisement, and then we'll do, my suggestion to them is going to be similar to how District 21 does it, which is a full board interview. Like we did for Commissioner McMurray way back when. So yeah.
Hopefully by the end of February, they'll be done.
Yes. And legally, we cannot do any RFA.
We're
not talking RFA stuff right now. We're just talking about we're talking about what are we going to talk about? Merge, RFA, consolidation, bankruptcy, what's on the table. We cannot, informal or restart the RFA talks until they have a full board.
So we've kind of moved on to the next item of new business, which is a District 4 plan of action. And I think to summarize that, it would be Jason and I will be working with Karen Reed and District 4 board to start meeting and coming up with some thoughts and ideas. Is that fair?
And dates. I'll reach out to Commissioner Land and we'll get some dates in February and I'll send those to Karen and they'll be all Mondays. So hope Monday works for you, Commissioner Ansel. To get some dates on the calendar so we can start meeting and figuring out what they're going to do.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments on that? Fire chief performance review was done at our meeting in January, chief. Just for the board's knowledge, that was done on the 7th. So his annual review has been completed. If anyone has any questions about that, I would be happy to answer those offline. I guess my biggest comments is thank you, chief, for all the hard work that you're putting in. I think we're moving in the right direction. I think you're doing a great job, and we've ticked off a couple of projects. The promotional stuff has gone through. We've got some chief help in the office. We've taken over District 4's administrative services, and yeah, we're moving good. We've got a training captain hired now, so things are we're climbing out of the rut here a little bit.
Yeah, if I could just for a second, I do. It does feel like we're getting a couple projects done. Certainly, what I've learned during my time in this office is that I'm not going to get everything done. This is like pushing a rope uphill. I couldn't have received the review I got without the staff, both the non-represented staff and the line staff, and the volunteers doing their part. This whole thing works because everybody shows up every day and does what they need to do. And every day they go above and beyond. Sometimes it's big enough to see it. Sometimes nobody even notices it, but everybody in this organization propels all of us forward. And I only got the review I did and the comments that you just said is because everybody's doing everything all the time. As Scott said, just recently, we have just been, for a 50-person department, we've been essentially decimated by COVID, by the Omicron version of COVID. And we're in our second wave right now, and the troops are stepping up, and they are working the overtime way beyond the limits. Hopefully L&I is not watching, but yeah, we're having to bend but don't break on people working, and people are helping each other out. It's great to see everybody pull together. It's unfortunate that it is in a time of where people are your employees are getting sick. They're wearing their PPE, they're doing their job correctly. It's just the community's saturated, and everybody's tired and beat down. When you get tired and beat down, you get sick. But yes, we do have a training captain coming. Thanks to all the, once again, the line staff and the non-represented staff that put together an excellent assessment center. So I'm hopeful. I'm starting to see some pinpricks of light at the end of this tunnel that we're actually making some headway. So thank you for all your support. Thank you for caring about everybody. And I love working for this department. I love working for our people, and look forward to a better year.
Well, we certainly appreciate everything everyone is doing.
Thanks.
Correspondence, Chief. There was a letter addressed to our board, and based on an issue over a volunteer jacket. Is that been? It was in our packet, so if there's any clarification that anyone needs, has that been resolved?
I've not received any further communication, so I believe it's been resolved.
Okay.
You'll be the first, you'll know before I will if it has not been.
All right.
As evidenced by the letter sent to each of you. But hopefully that I treat everybody with respect and kindness, and
yeah, no, I'm sorry that it has, things like this have to rise to this level, and I appreciate the communications from the concerned citizen, and I wish we didn't have to waste any more time on things like that, but appreciate your professionalism in dealing with it. Announcement for the board meeting attendance, February 17th. Is that working for everyone?
Yeah, I'm good.
Works for me.
All right.
That's at 11 o'clock, correct? Just
Yes, I think we adopted all meetings start at 11 this year. So agenda items for next meeting. So we've got the Weiser Lake Station follow-up, scheduling and/or a public hearing if necessary. Probably keep District 4 on the agenda. What am I leaving out here?
Future funding would be on the agenda.
Are you going to have the division chief contract?
Yes, we'll have the DC contract.
Okay. All right. We need to have an executive session. This is per RCW 42.30.140, section 4, subsection A. Collective bargaining sessions with employee organizations, including contract negotiations, grievance meetings, and discussions relating to the interpretation or application of a labor agreement, or that portion of a meeting during which the governing body is planning or adopting the strategy or position to be taken by the governing body during the course of any collective bargaining, professional negotiations, or grievance remediation proceedings, or reviewing the proposals made in the negotiations or proceedings while in progress. I'm gonna say 15 minutes. It's 12:19. Chief Vanderveen can attend. Sean, I'll let you go back to your regular work, and the board. Scott, we will not include you in the executive session. Thank you and good luck with your recovery. And again, congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you. Appreciate it.